Hi, Mrs. Hill here. This is your science video for Activity 3 on Wednesday, May 6th, 2020. Remember that we are reviewing the basic needs of living organisms. We have been comparing living and non-living things and identifying their basic needs in order to survive or live. So here is an anchor chart about what living things need. They need air. They have to breathe air. We have to breathe air. We need water. Remember that our organs need water in order to work, to function. We need shelter to protect us, keep us warm and safe. We need food to get our nutrients that keep our bodies going. So your first activity today, when you get in here to do this on your own, is going to be slide 4. Now, when you first look at slide 4, you're going to say, well, I can't see it all. But if you just click over here, you're going to see the instructions. Drag the living things into the scene where they belong. So you have a tiger. You can drag him where you want him. All right, you have a fish and you have a butterfly. So drag them onto the picture. And these are all living things right here. Okay. When you're finished then, you can... There's going to be one more slide you're going to have to do some work in. But before I show you that, I want to go through and just review some vocabulary. So some fancy words that we learned this week that you can add to your fancy word chart. So the first word that we have is compare. So when you go into this by yourself, if you want to review what I'm doing with you right now, you can. So there's going to be a speaker button that you can click on, and it's going to take you to another site that shows you the definition of the word compare, okay? This that you see right here shows you how to pronounce it. So if you're sounding out the word, you would say compare, compare. And then you have a speaker button.
Compare.
That will say it for you. It tells you the definition down here. I'm seeing that this has 2 different definitions, and it's a verb. It means it's something we can do, okay? If this is a little too overwhelming, which it might be for your age yet, then you can simply look at this definition. So compare means to find the similarities between 2 things. Think of when we do our Venn diagram, right? We put things that are the same or similar in the middle, okay? So looking at these fish, what do you see that is the same about them? Well, I see that they're both fish, right? If I were contrasting them, I would be looking for the differences. And I would say that the one fish, this fish on the left, is bigger than the fish on the right, okay? Another fancy word is the word identify. So again, you can click. This is the dictionary, dictionary.com, that gives you the definition of the word.
Identify.
If you want to hear it, okay. And identify means to find a person, place, or thing. So if you see here, this little scientist, she has a magnifying glass. She has identified this person within this group of people. Okay, so she has found him or identified him. Another vocabulary fancy word, living. Okay, so this is an adjective. That's what AGDJ is short for. Now, we've talked about nouns and verbs in class, nouns being people, places, and things, and verbs being things you can do. We've touched a little bit on adjectives, so remember that adjectives describe something. So living is describing every single one of these pictures. Every single one of these pictures is, yes, a thing. It's a noun, but it's a living thing. So living is the adjective describing. This is a living bird, living people, living butterfly, living flowers, okay? So living is describing the nouns, describing the things in these pictures. We also have non-living. So these pictures are being described, again, it's an adjective, as non-living, right? This book, this highlighter, these glasses are non-living. The Statue of Liberty, it's a statue. It is non-living. Another vocabulary word, survive. Survive means to live using things you need, even when it's difficult, okay? So even, look, despite the snow around it, these flowers have blossomed through the snow, okay? So to survive means to live. Nutrients. We've talked about nutrients this week. Nutrients, that is the food that living things need to survive. There's nutrients in our food that we need to survive. So they're showing here for plants, in order for plants to grow, they need the nutrients in the dirt and in the soil, right? This bear is eating this fish that's providing him his food, his nutrients in order to live. For us, when we go to the grocery store, you can see she's picking out red peppers here. The vegetables, great source of nutrients to help us to live and to help our bodies grow. We have shelter. Okay, this will be our last fancy word for today. Shelter. So shelter provides us with warmth. It provides us with safety in order to live, right? So you see a couple of different shelters here. If you're going camping in the woods, you might take a tent to provide you with some shelter or safety, to protect you against the wind, the rain, the snow, the elements in the weather. So let's go through and review those fancy words for those of you that are keeping up with me on your own fancy words chart. And if you haven't been keeping up, it's not too late to start. You can start your own fancy words to hang up in your house somewhere. You can use Post-its, you can use a piece of paper, you can use a journal to keep track of them, however you want to do it. So first I'm going to go back and review some of the fancy words that we've done so far since we've been doing remote learning. So we did the word consists, family, different, pattern, and concentric circles. And some of our transitional words, first, second, next, then, and finally. So the fancy words that we did today, first we had the word compare. Now when we compare things, we look for the similarities. I'm also going to write the word contrast up here because when we were doing our Venn diagram in the last week or so, we compare and contrast things. So compare, we think about what's the same. And when we contrast, we think about what's different. Another fancy word today I went over with you is the word identify. So to identify, you identify or you find something. Identify. We also have living and non-living. We have survive up here. So to survive or live. And nutrients, which we get from our food. And finally, we have shelter. Okay. So now that we've reviewed our vocabulary, let's look at what we need to do today for your task. So you are going to watch a video and think about what living things need to survive and then write them in the boxes below, or type them rather. You can click here to add your text, okay? So let's watch the video and see what living things need to survive.
Ow! I'm lucky. I am going to keep this butterfly forever in my glass jar. Oh, don't do that, Jimmy. The butterfly won't be able to live in the glass jar for long. Why not? My stone collection is also in a glass jar. Stones are non-living things. They are fine in the glass jar. But butterflies and other living things have needs like air, food, water, and a place to live. Okay, I'll leave the butterfly, but you will have to tell me more about this. Deal. Here it flies away. Very good boy. Okay, now tell me, what do you mean by the needs of living things? Living things like plants and animals need some important things to be alive in life. I am a living thing too, ain't I? Yes, of course you are. And the basic needs that you have are same as other living things like a rose plant or an elephant. How is that possible? Let me explain. The first most important need we have is air. All living things need to breathe. What happens if there is no air? Why don't you try to hold your breath and see? Oh, I was not feeling well. See, you needed to breathe, just as a rose plant or an elephant. What about fish? Are they living things too? Good question. Fish breathes the air which is dissolved in water. Oh, that's cool. So all living things need air. I get that. What else? All living things need energy from food and water. That reminds me, I am hungry. Thank you. You see, food gives us energy. Different living things get energy in different ways. I know, different animals eat different things. You are a smart boy. Do you know what a rabbit eats? Yes, carrots. And a cow? Grass. Very good. How about pandas? I read it somewhere. Pandas eat bamboos. Super. What about birds? They eat seeds and worms. Ew. Now tell me, what do plants eat? Plants, they eat. I think no. Okay, I don't know. Can you please tell me what do plants eat? Plants take nutrients and water from the soil and light from the sun to make their own food. Wow, that's so cool. Sure it is. Remember, water is very important for life as well. Yes, I feel very thirsty. That is why I always keep a water bottle with me. Air, food, water. Is there anything else that living things need to survive? Indeed, there is one last thing. Close your eyes and imagine with me. Okay. Imagine a tree and some more trees. Imagine a river flowing by and lots of bushes and shrubs. Now imagine a polar bear there. That's not right. How can a polar bear be here? Yes, you're right. A polar bear cannot live in a forest. It's not the right place to live for a polar bear. How can you make the picture right, Jimmy? Well, how about putting an elephant or a gorilla or even a monkey there? Absolutely. Each living thing needs a place to live that is right for it. What kind of place does a polar bear need to live? I know, some place really, really cold. How about this? Not right. Mango trees don't grow in deserts. And how about this? That's okay. A cactus can live in dry and hot deserts. Cool. So tell me, Jimmy, what does a living thing need to live? I know a living thing needs air and energy from food and water and a place to live in. I think the butterfly is saying, "Good job, Jimmy."
So you're going to come back to slide 13 and you're going to add in what living things need in order to live. And if you want to watch the video again, you simply click on the video. So to recap, and let me just make sure I have these slides correct. Your answers are going to be needed on slide 4. We're going to fix the picture. You can bring the animals into the picture where they should be standing, where you think they would be in the picture. Slide 13, you're going to type your answers about what living things need to survive. And after you've completed this activity, just make sure that you've done activity 1 and activity 2, and you can turn in your science activity for the week. Nice job, guys. As always, reach out with any questions.